Okay. So we have looked at the storage offering by AWS. We've learned about EBS. We've looked at S3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we will also look at the compute service, that is EC2. So
Yeah.
we are going to look at the network offering or the network service in AWS. And it's called VPC, all right? The first one for virtual private cloud, right?
Okay.
Now, this is the VPC does. So the definition on an exam perspective is that it's a service that allows you to create isolated portion of the AWS cloud for yourself, right? Now, this is what it means. Think the AWS cloud as a very big land or space, okay, which is available for everyone. Now, if you are going to use the cloud, yes, basically you trying to build data center for your purpose, or if it is your organization, if you going to build a data center, put in your servers and everything, you wouldn't want to leave it in the open, yeah, for I mean everyone to have access to it and what have you. You would want to create restricted zones and restricted areas all for yourself. So the VPC service allows you to go into the cloud and create what? An isolated portion of the cloud. So this is the entire cloud, and then you create your isolated portion. Okay. So this one will be your own virtual private cloud. Let me just use VPC. Okay. So that portion will be your own virtual private cloud. Okay. That is a VPC. Now, let's go into IT now. And once you create it, okay, this is a very big, and let's relate it to, let's say, I come from a farming community, so like a farmland, right? Now, what typical farmers do is that they wouldn't want to just plant anything mixed, all right? They want to maybe plant cassava at one part, plant corn or maybe one part, and then other vegetables at one part, okay? So you would have to segment that isolated portion, okay? So the VPC is what? Your network or your networking area. So now you will want to segment this networking area into smaller portions or sections, all right, to put a certain purpose, okay? So that segregation, is a component under what? A network or the network. So you call it your sub network, okay? Something that's what? Subnet. So here within your entire network, you would want to what? Now create what? Smaller chunks or smaller segments of that entire network. So you segment them because subnet. Yeah. Why do you want to do that? And now, let's take our normal room, for example, the room that we live in. Okay. If you take a chamber and a hall, basically the hall is for receiving what? Visitors or guests. Yes. So you would want to make it like accessible for everyone. Every visitor that comes in, you would want to make it visible. They can watch TV, they can do whatever it is there. Okay. Now, you still have a private room. Okay, that is your chamber or your bedroom. That is only accessible to you. You are the only person that has access to everything in there. Okay. So this concept in networking, you would want to make the one that is publicly accessible as what? Your public subnet. And then one that is accessible to you is called what?
The private
subnet. Basically, that's how you are going to segregate them. Now, how do you make the subnet public or private? because now, okay, we intend to use, let's say, 1, 2 for public subnet, 3, 4 for private subnet. Yeah. How do we do that? How is that possible? All right, so I am building the point. Okay, let me take this whole diagrams off, and then now this website is called draw.io. You use it for architecture drawings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I will be using that now. So let me just bring VPC. Okay, so this is the image of VPC. Kindly, this is good for. So let me put it as 300, and let me see. Okay, yeah, great. I want that. I want it to be good. So this is our VPC, our entire VPC, right?
Okay.
There's a concept, there's IP addressing. I'll talk about it briefly, but I mean, at foundational level, nobody will ask you to even calculate IP addresses, but I'll just talk about it. Yeah. Then you create your VPC, and then now we want to segment them into subnet. So there's also a diagram for subnet. So for public, by default, it's green. So I'll just use one public and then one private. Yeah. So you segment them. And how do you do it? You use IP addresses to segment them into subnet. Now,
Okay.
how do I make this one public and make this one private? Now, in networking, when you create a network like this, it's just you, as I said, segmenting them. So for now, you don't have access to the internet. It's just like a traditional data center. Yeah. When you set up your data center, you buy your network cables, you have equipment called switches that you fix your cables and everything. When you are done, you will not have internet connection. What do? You have to go to an internet service provider, right? Now connect you to their network to give you internet connection. So some will go to MTN when there was Surfline. Some will decide to use Surfline. Now there is Starlink, all those, I mean, ISPs or internet service providers, right? So you go to them to give you internet service. So what they will give you is they will give you their router. If you are using a fiber connection, they will come and then set you up. They will connect a cable from their antenna to your room, connect it to a hub or a router. Okay, let me even show you diagrams. So this is how a router looks like. So most of them, you see a device like this, right? So a typical one is this one, an MTN router. So this one has a connection to the MTN network. All right, so they give you access to the internet. Now, for here, or in AWS, we call it an internet gateway because AWS themselves offer internet services. Yeah, so you attach what we call an internet gateway. So this is the logo for internet gateway, like this, to the VPC. All right. So what you are doing is that it's just like a hall, right? Your hall, and then you give or you open up a doorway or you put a doorway to outside. So you can move from the hall to the outside. And then you can also come from the outside straight to the hall. All right. But for your bedroom, you cannot just come straight from the outside to your bedroom. You might have a different route or you might have a different, doorway. Okay. So you first attach what you call internet gateway. So just a gateway to the internet. That is a route in AWS. You have to attach that VPC. Now your VPC has an internet connection. Okay. Now this internet connection still doesn't cover or these two subnets or these two networks or segment of networks under your bigger network doesn't have access to the internet yet. As I said, the segmentation is just to what? Create smaller segment of the network. So this one way or the other is like a standalone. This one is also a standalone. That the same place. It's like you having a room and then you have a room for your guests, you have a room for your children, you have other rooms. Okay, those rooms don't have access directly to maybe your hall. For them to be able to do that, they need a door, okay, and then maybe a pathway. We call it a corridor that they can, walk through to their hall. So this is the same concept here. So first thing, if I want to make this a public subnet, something that everybody can access, all right, or anybody outside the internet or in the internet can access, then I need to create a route, all right, or a pathway that leads to what? The internet gateway. Okay, I need to create a pathway that leads to the internet gateway. So there is another tool or another feature in the VPC called the route table.
Okay.
Now you will use the route table to you create route. All right. Now you create a route. You go to the route table feature or the route table service, and then create a route that says that anything that is going to the internet, please send it to the internet gateway. All right. Send it to the internet gateway. Means that if you have in this subnet, maybe you launched an EC2 instance in this network, then you want to access the internet. All right. What this route table does is that it what sends the traffic to the internet and then to the public. So the same way, if that response is coming, then it comes to the internet gateway, then the resource because of what the route table. So the route table is just like time. That says that okay, this is Accra, this is Tema. So if you are going to Tema, then you use a Tema road. All right, that is a route table. So you use a route table to set this route to the public internet. Once you do that, and this one becomes what? Public subnet. The name itself doesn't make a subnet public, but it is what? The configuration that you do that makes the subnet what? Public. All right. So you use a route gateway to set that route. You will ask, so what then happens to this subnet? Okay. What then happens to this subnet, the one that is private? By default, you create VPC. The VPC service default creates a route gateway for you. All right, sorry, a route table for you. And that route table is only for local communication. So you have a route table that has, I've not spoken about IP address yet, but you have a route table. You have a route table that says that send communications that is going through the network, local resources. So it means that that route is just within, okay, it's just within the network. It doesn't transcend or go outside the network.
Okay. Along the way, your network kind of your voice breaks. I think it's the network also.
Okay, hold on. I think it has to do with my PC's microphone. Is it okay now?
Yes, it's better. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Before you continue, just to make sure that I get it. Like I saw similar ones when I was doing the educate, but of course some of the terms I didn't really understand what they were saying. So
Yeah.
yes, but just to make sure that I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a VPC,
Yeah.
and then the subnets, because
Mm-hmm.
you create the two subnet, the public and the private.
Mm-hmm.
Careful.
Yeah.
Good. But for the public, it's more like having access to the outside, or more like the internet
Right.
service. Right.
Yeah.
But before you can do that, you need the internet service provider. That is
Right.
the gateway, which
The
I think I
internet
saw.
gateway. Yeah. Hello? Your mic has muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So the internet gateway, that is, I saw something like the NAT gateway. I don't know if it's the same.
No, that is not the same. So
That is
we'll come.
different.
Yes, we'll come to that.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you need the internet gateway to provide you access to the internet.
Exactly.
But for you to actually show more or less like the pathway through you get to the internet, that's why you need a route table. So the
Exactly.
route table will kind of show you the pathway to access the internet.
Yeah.
That is about it, if I'm right.
Yes, that is just it.
Okay. But when you create a VPC,
Mm-hmm.
it has its more or less like a default route table created,
Route it.
which is supposed
Yeah.
to be like a private one by
Yeah.
default.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Good.
Please go on. Okay, go
You're
on.
welcome. All right, sure. Great. So the route table, as I said, so the one that you attach, all right. So this basically has what? A pathway to the public internet. All right. Then if you attach it to any of the subnets, it becomes what? A public subnet. So that, I mean, it can have access to the internet. People also outside your network, that is, people in the internet can also what? Access it. Okay. So more or less like guilty by association kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, as I said, there's a default one. So what you can do is that you just attach the default one explicitly, all right, to this one. And then it means that communications will only be local. Okay. Only be local. It means that people from the internet, if you create an instance here, you will basically not be able to connect it outside the internet. You will have to be in the network first before you be able to communicate with this one, the private subnet.
Private
Right.
one.
Mhm. Good. Now, that said, so to your question on the NAT, we actually call it the NAT gateway. Okay.
Okay.
So NAT is this NAT. It's the short form for Network Address Translation.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what the NAT gateway does. Now you have your private subnet. So obviously this one doesn't have access to the internet. And then people also on the internet are not able to access it. But you would, let's say you have an EC2 instance, you would want to download security updates, right? Patches, the operating system that the instance is running on. Maybe there might be update. You would want to update it. Now, this one doesn't have access to the internet because it is a private resource. And then most of the times, the resources that you put in a private subnet, like something like a database that keeps people's data, okay, sensitive data. So you wouldn't want to expose it to the public. Now, this is what happens. You still have to find a way to give internet access to this private subnet. So that is where the NAT gateway comes in.
Okay.
Right. So what you do is that you provision the NAT gateway first in the public subnet. Why do we put it in the public subnet? Because now this subnet has internet connection. All right. So the
Okay.
resource needs to be in the subnet that has internet connection. All right. As I said, guilty by association. So every resource that is here by default has internet connection, and then people from the internet can access it. Now, the NAT gateway has a security feature that says that I can only allow traffic that is coming from within the network outside. Okay. But yeah. So class A usually had like this 10 dots, right? Oh, yeah. So 10.0.0.0. Okay, that was the range to 10.255.255.255. Okay. And then
the class B, the class B started from 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.55. Okay, no, this is not true. Should be like this. Yeah. So the class B IPs had from 192.31, all right, .0.0 to what? 172.31.255. And then the class C IPs started from 192.168 up to, give me a moment, class C. Yeah. So class C also ranged from this to this to, sorry, 255 to 255. This was the ranges. This was the classes that we were using. Now, why this? Mathematics kakra. Okay. So IP addresses, the definition itself is it's what? An 8 octets. 4 octets of what? Decimal figures. What it means is that here has 8 bits, so that is where the oct came from. Okay, each decimal place has 8 bits. Each decimal place has 8 bits. Each decimal place has 8 bits, and each decimal place has 8 bits. So together, it was 32 bits. All right. Now, the 32-bit IP, the 32 bits gives you, I think, about millions, all right, of IP addresses. Why? Each 8 bits is equal to 255 IP addresses. Yeah. So what it means is that you can have multiple combinations, right, of numbers here. Okay. So you are basically having 255 times 255 times 255 times 255. All right.
Okay.
That is what it means. So I can have, let's see, even with 1. Yeah. Even with 1. Let's say I can have like an IP address like 1.1.0.1. Yeah. I can come and have 0.1.0.1. That is another IP address. Even with just 1 and 0, yeah, I can have 0.0.1.1. I can have like a lot, 1.1.0.0. So even with 1, I can have multiple combinations of this IP address without even moving to 2. Okay, so it gives you like millions of IP addresses. Now, so let me leave this example. Okay, so class A IP address, right, had 10.0.0.0. We have something we call subnet masks. So that is what I will show you. So a class A IP address had a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. What it means here is that if you take a class A IP address, okay, throughout, the first IP is not going to what? It's not going to change. Or the first octet is not going to change till the end. So behind the hood, this side has been blocked. Okay. Behind the hood, this side has been blocked. So the rest of them are free. So they can change from 1 up to 255. The same thing, this one also goes. So you can have multiple combinations here. So class A typically give you plenty IP addresses, a lot. Okay. Class B, on the other hand, had a subnet mask of 255.255, right? Dot 0.0. This is a class B. So for that one, it also means that throughout, the entire network, device be assigned on that network, no, the first 2 octets are not going to change. Okay, the first 2 octets are not going to change until you have 172.31 dot something 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 192.31, like that, 172.31. When we get into the hands-on, all these will make sense, right? And then class C, on the other hand, had a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Yeah, sorry, network went off again. Great. So with class C, it had the first 3 octet blocked. All right. So we only had the last octet to use. This was how it worked. Okay. So it's just like going to, let's say, a place, a hospitality organization. Okay. So something like a guest house. Na echo. No, you have to example. Okay. Sometimes a coffee trot almost you also front tire man.
Front tire, okay.
But Ubiasu knew. Yeah. But what's the front tire man? It was also front one. There one seat, why or reserved for somebody. Yeah. The one seat is reserved for somebody. So you cannot occupy it, even though it looks empty. So that was how the classes of IP addresses were. So even though you have been given this range, they are telling you that for the first octet, it cannot change, or you cannot assign it to any device on your network. Okay. But from there, the rest can be assigned to devices on your network. And class B says that, okay, we have actually blocked the first 2 octets. But you have access to what? The last 2 octets were assigned. And then class C says that the first 3 octets are all blocked. So it is only this that you can assign from here onwards. So you can have devices change from what? 192.168.0.1, sorry, .0.0. So we count, can 0. In tech, 0 is also a number. So here the addresses are 0 to 255. So it gives you a total of 256 IPs. Okay. So that was the classes. Now, there are other ones, class D, class E, class F, but those ones are not commercial ones. So we don't talk about them. Now, we realize that people who brought the IP addressing technology, okay, realize that there are a lot of devices that are being manufactured, smart devices that also need, the whole internet is also a network on its own. Okay, so every device on the internet needs to have an IP address. Okay, so talk of your mobile phone, talk of the smart devices, everything. Now we have self-driving cars. So there was a realization that the IP addresses are not enough. Okay, So these classes of IP address were called IPv4. IP version 4. So we call it Internet Protocol version 4. So IP is a short form for Internet Protocol. So this was the IPv4 IP addresses. So we realized that, okay, they were not enough. Yeah. So let's introduce another one called IPv6. But we'll get IPv6 there. You just have to know that this is so IPv6. So those ones came as hexadecimal numbers. Okay. So a typical IPv6 IP address will look like this. Let me go to Google. IPv6. Okay. So this is a typical IPv6 address. Yeah. But this one, I mean, even the IPv4, you don't memorize it again. Nobody will tell you to memorize an IP address because there are tools online that you can use to demarcate or segment your network. So, but even IPv4 no can you. So how come we will not be able to?
Because I think the networking, this thing, around this same portion, they made mention that IPv6 is not really. They use the especially like one shouldn't use in the CCR. Though it
Yes.
has more capacity and all that,
Yes.
They are
So
not
it's rarely used.
Yes.
Those ones are assigned to what we call the IoT devices, Internet of Things, right? Into today, the self-driving cars that sends data to whatever. So the Tesla cars have them. What's it called? The sensors. Sensors, they read on the climate and everything, Those are the ones that are being used. So it hasn't been commercialized yet. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is it. But on the same IPv4 technology, we realized that, okay, there was another realization that, listen, the IPv4 addresses are being wasted in one way, and then also it is not effective in the sense that, so supposing, let's say I have a startup, yeah, and then I'm going for an IP address. You have to buy, okay? If you're an ISP, you have to buy from the organization that sells them. They call them IANA. I've forgotten is it international of something of network address. Let me abbreviations on the Odorson. So IANA. That's their name. Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. Okay. So these are the organization that issues IP addresses. So you have to buy it from them. Okay. So imagine, let's say, a company like AWS goes to buy an IP address and they give them a class C. Okay. Or they buy a class C. Now, what this means is that they only have 256 IPs to use. And look at how big AWS is now. They wouldn't be able to allocate these IP addresses. They will not be enough. Okay. And then let's say a startup also comes and then they want to buy, and then they go and buy a class A. All right. Class A typically, let me even open this tool so that we'll use it. There's a tool called cider.xyz. Good. All right. So let me do 10.0.
I remember this thing.
Yeah. .0. Okay. So a class A is typically /8. We have not gotten here yet. All right. But let me just use this to explain. So you see, a typical class A IP address will give you what? 16 million. All right. 16 million plus IP addresses. On our in the count is what? 16 million plus IP addresses. So a startup goes and then they give them class A. Startup need devices or one entire network and we are just 10. Okay. So what it means is that the rest, the 16
million, 10
why a waste? You get it. And then let's say they also want to start small. So they go to buy a class C. A class C has a block of what? So class C will give you 256. And then imagine they grow in size. And then maybe they have about 1,000 devices in their network, a company like MTN. So this means that this one will also not be enough. Okay. And the thing is that when you have a class C IP address previously, you couldn't just change it to class A. If you want to change it, that means you have to go and buy it again. You have to change your entire network architecture altogether. That was a lot of work. So that was a challenge it posed. So the IANA and then whoever is involved, the stakeholders, the parties involved, says that, listen, let's abolish these classes, this class 4 IP addresses, and then let's use what you call classless interdomain routing called CIDR. Okay, so that's classless interdomain routing for CIDR. So which means that, and then also the class 4 IP addresses even give a restriction. So immediately you start typing an address like this, an IP like this. Every network, traditional, anybody who did networking in the past, immediately you type an IP like this, they will know that is what? A class C IP. When you start with 192, then they know that is what? A class C IP. When you start with 172, they know that is a class B IP. And when you start with 10, they know that, oh, this is a typical class A IP address. Okay. So it means that you were even restricted, all right, with the IPs that you can use, all right. But the classless interdomain routing came to abolish the class 4 IP addressing, and then now introduce a certain level of flexibility. All right. It introduced a level of flexibility. Now, this means that I am not restricted by classes. I can now choose between either this or that, and I'll still not be bound by the classes. It is what we call the CIDR that will determine the number of IP addresses. You understand? So this time, maybe I want a land. You are going to buy a land, and then you just want one plot. Then that is one plot. Now you are free to divide them as many as you want. All right. If you go for an acre, you have the flexibility of dividing them as such. So the same thing with, so now the CIDR came in to say that, listen, so I can decide to choose 10.0.0.0 for my network. Okay. But maybe I want just 256 IPs. So if I want 256 IPs, now here, this is the whole trick that I will show you. The rest, you can just go online. Okay. You don't even have to put it in your head. If I want 256 IPs, I know that 8 bits will give me 256 IPs, because each octet is 8-bit, and then each 8-bit gives me 256 IPs. So if I need 8-bit, then I only need the last octet, or only 8-bit. Okay. So let me just block 24 bits.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just block 24 bits. Into Ahani now blocked. So I now have just this as my for my network. Then I can go ahead and then segment them. I realize that no, ABR for my network, So one thing, the limitation is that if you block it, then it means that you only have 256 IPs to allocate to your network and then your subnet. You cannot go above it. That is the only limitation. Or another person would decide that, okay, 24 summon, you get it. So the same 10.0.0.0 the person decided, okay, when I'm creating my network, maybe I want more than 256. Me, I don't have all of them in my head. So let's go here. Okay. I don't want 256. I want more. Maybe a 500. Okay. So typically what I do is that I will start reducing these ones. So I will make it 23. So if I do it 23, then 23 will give me what? 512 IPs. Into aha. Eh? This is the binary conversion. I wouldn't let us do binary conversion anyway.
It's like if I get if just it's like two raised the power the number of bits that is not being used. The whole thing is 32 bits.
Yes.
So if I reserve 24, I'm left with 8 bits. So
Yes.
2 to the power of the 8 bits will give me 256.
Exactly. So
And
that
I've
is
reserved 3 bits. I'm left with a number of bits. So that number 2 to the power, whatever is left out of the 32, will give me the number of IP addresses available.
correct. Correct. So that is what you will use. So you are not reserving, you are blocking it. You
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
So
Okay.
you use the word block.
Okay.
So
Thank
you
you.
are blocking that. So that is a 2 raised to the power. The number that is left is what you give you the count of what? The IP. Okay. So this one will give
Okay.
me 512. Somebody
So
comes to,
like this website is there to so far as you just all you need is the number of IPs you want and then you put it in and then to give you
yes.
the
So all you
okay.
all you actually need is the private IP that you want to use. Okay.
Okay.
So either you are using the 10.0.0 or the 172.31.0.0 or the 192.168.0.0. In your
What would
no,
have been the reason for 10? Somebody chooses 10, someone chooses 172. Is there anything that would really
no, there's no reason.
or you
These
just
are the
decide that maybe I want 10
yes,
without any particular
exactly.
restriction?
So these are the recommended private IP ranges, the three.
Okay.
You are free to choose any of them. Okay. First now, or your class phone. Previously, it was class phone. No? Then that one you have to have a reason. Because say if you want a lot of IP address, then you have to go for the class A.
Okay.
Let's say if you want like some medium to large, then you go for the class B. Or if you want very small, then you go for the class C. Right? But now that they don't do classes anymore, there's no specific reason. You just have to select one of the recommended IP addresses, private IP addresses, and then you do what? You put it into your table and then you get your cider. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes. So depending on the number of devices that you have, all you need to know is that the maximum. So wow.
Yes.
Share. Mhm. Yeah. So all you need to have in mind is this. Now, in AWS, the largest, okay, the largest that you can have is /16. So now you know that the smaller you block or the lower that you block, the more IP address that you have. So the smaller the cider, the larger what the number of IP address that you get. So in AWS, the largest is /16, okay, and then the minimum is /20. Is it 28? Yeah. Okay. So this one will give you 16 million, and this one will give you about 16 IPs, right? 28. Yeah. This one will give you 16 IPs. So this is the lowest that you can have. All right. So the lowest you can have is /28. The highest you can have is /16. So all I need is this. The rest, I'll always put it in my what? My cider table. So if I say, let's say I want 700 devices, I know that /24 give me 256. And then I'll just be reducing the number like this. Yes. So the closest I can have, right, to 700 is what? 1,024 IPs. So it means that my network cider is going to be this. Okay, anything. So I can have 192.168, and this one will still give me what? The 1024 IPs.
Okay.
So you realize, so it's just, so this one, it is determined by what? The CIDR. Now, this is telling you that you can have a combination of what? 1024 IP addresses. It is literally not giving you, okay, maybe you can go from 1 to 10, or like, you get what I'm trying to say. It is just telling you the number of combinations that you can have.
You don't necessarily have to use all of them.
Yes, you don't necessarily have to use. I need 700, okay, but I can't have a CIDR that will give me exactly 700, isn't it? So you use the closest, and then you can't also, you don't provision IP addresses like exact to the exact number of devices that you have. Okay, that was the next thing that I was going to. So if you watch here, you see there is what? A CIDR based IP, right?
Okay.
And then there's what? A broadcast IP. Now when you come down here, there is what? First usable IP, and then it tells you that what? 192.168.0.1. Yeah. And then the last usable IP is what? 192.168.3.254. Okay. So these are the usable IP ranges. So that is the reason why you can't have what? The exact number. Because traditionally, 2 IPs will be reserved for broadcasts, and then the base IP, we call it the network IP. Okay.
But
and
why
then
they reserve?
that is a technology. They will reserve it. So let me even explain it. All right. So now they are reserved because in the same network, okay, it is devices that are going to be used. All right. So let's say you go to MTN. Now you have a router. MTN will give you a router and then connect you to what? Their network. That router, even though it's the one giving you the internet access, that router will also reserve one. So that is for, basically this one is for the router, for the network address. So the router will reserve that. And then there should be an interface where the other device will be communicating to. So we call it broadcast. You get it? We call it, we call that one the broadcast. It needs an interface to also what? Send the internet connection to every node. So it is also reserved for broadcast. Now in AWS also reserve 3 additional ones. Apart from the 2 that will be reserved, AWS will also reserve 3 additional IP addresses. So in total, AWS will reserve 5 IPs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it means that if you allocate the exact number, then it will not be enough for your network because not the better. So let's say if I allocate 700 and then AWS takes 5, I'll be left with what? 695. So you have to always make sure that you provision to what? Cater for the extra one, right? So immediately I put it in this, and then it gives me this. Then I will demarcate my network as such. Okay. So this will be for my network. Now, if I want to divide them, this is what I do. If I want to divide them, I know that, okay, this is the first usable IP, right? So now it means that if I want to allocate a subnet, okay, it means that my subnet will start from what? 192.168.0.1. So I'll do this. I'll have it somewhere. Yeah. And then let's say in that subnet, I just want to put just about 10 devices, okay, in that subnet. If I say devices like the EC2 instance, maybe I want to create 10 EC2 instance in that subnet. So I know that the network address will be this. So the next thing I will do is come here again. So I'll put this IP here. So .1, and then I'll start changing. But I know that the lowest I can have is what? That's what? 28. So it means that my subnet CIDR will be this. which will give it what 16 IPs. Now that will be 16. So God willing, tomorrow we'll create an Excel sheet, to do this. Yes, to do this segregation. But I'm just giving you an idea into how it works. So that will be 16 minus what? The 1024.
No. Is it from the original one?
Yes, from the original one.
Okay.
So that will be 16 minus the 1024 IPs. All right.
1024 minus 16.
Yes. So that that's 1024 minus 16. So I'm left with what? 1008 IPs. Now, even this will give me what? Now, so this one, the first usable one will be this, and then the last usable IP will be that. So it means that, the last ever IP address will be what? The broadcast IP. So the first and last. So the broadcast IP will be what? .15. So it means that if I'm going to create another subnet, right? The address will be what? This.
Since this is the last one, that would be more like the starting point. If I'm
Yes. Sorry, I mean it will be this plus one. Yeah.
Plus one.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll have .0 and then what? 16.
Okay.
And then
that one also depend on the number of
devices. Now the number of devices that I would want to create, then it will determine the CIDR that I will block, and then just have the rest to my network.
But Marty, bro.
So the thing is this, we can go straight to this, but still one task. So
but it's actually okay. I don't know, but it's actually nice, and then in a way, it makes sense since the American. This is my first one, assuming that the one on the screen is what you are using. This is my first one, the usable one, and then that means my last one will be the broadcast one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of one of the devices that we withhold for their addressing. So meaning that the next subnet I'll create, along with its EC2 instance, we cannot start from the .31 because that one is already an existing IP address somewhere.
Correct.
So we start with the number after that. That would be like number one for that subnet.
Yeah.
But trust me, I might really tiny member from one.
But I'm sure that is the thing.
I see.
Because I can just take you straight here. Because I mean VPC, me create VPC here, you will see me putting in all those numbers. You will not understand. You will do. I think the educator also gives you a hands-on on the VPC lab, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they will tell you to input those side. You will not understand. But if you get it from the basics here, it makes a little sense.
But one thing that is said that, like I said, let me get it. When I do it now, some of them I don't really understand. Just I can follow the step, but when you explain it, I can relate what we're saying to what you're saying.
Right.
The statement that that side cannot be the same in a different subnet.
Yes.
If it's the same, that means that you've made a duplicate of it. So when forgive me if I don't get the rest right though. But when you send something in there now, you are sending to the same places twice. You've not really done anything. So
yes.
You cannot create the same CIDR in a different subnet.
Yeah. So what? Okay, you finish.
Oh, well, then it come back to like what we were saying. It is now making sense from what you are saying. When they said it's now making sense. Like the last one will now tell you that the next one you're supposed to do to start with +1 from there. Then it continues depending on the number of instances that you are creating in that one too. Then use that one to build that part. You are done with the number of subnets along with all the instances you are creating in there. Basically, but it's now making sense based on what you just said.
Yeah.
It's not really making sense. So is this what you did with the people in the other class?
Yes.
Oh, trust me, I know that a lot of people are confused.
Oh yes, I mean minimpa. I know. So you can ask your wife. I do. A lot of them were quiet, but I tell them that listen, just come and use this and then go your way. Even in
Because
AWS,
you understand. That's no, we are not analysts. That IP address in we know, but I think from this, I get it. Like that. I
and
think we
even
watch the video together when we are done, so that I can.
okay, great, yeah. And then when you go to even the VPC service itself, right? It makes it easy for you. So, for example, if you are going, we'll do this tomorrow anyway. Eba, where's the IP? You see, this one will give you. It will even tell you the number of IP addresses that you have. Yeah. So if you change it, let's say 24, it will give it to you. So let's say if you want to, yes, if you want to use, let's say 4 subnets here. If you want to customize it, it will automatically even divide them for you. So there is little for you to even do unless you want to go further and then what? Customize them.
So wait. So since you chose the 4 in the
Yeah.
you know, like the 4 under the private, and then it tells you that you are using what word they use? You said net something.
Subnet.
No, subnet something. With the slash that last number they use the word for it.
Cider. We call it cider.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That number no 28 gives you 16 IPs. The 16
Yeah.
IPs in one channel according to the 4 subnets. If I'm right.
Correct. So
Okay.
the
Yeah, it's
the main network, I blocked what? The first 24 octets. So it gives me what? Just the last one. The last one will give me just 256 IPs. Okay. And then from the option that I chose here, I chose what? 2 public subnets, 4 private subnets. Right.
So you have 6,
That is 6. So if it is 6 subnets, then it makes sense to divide them into 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16.
Okay, per the 256.
56.
Okay. Also, you actually does some of this stuff for you.
Yes. So if I want to go ahead, so I can just do 16 plus 16 plus 16. Ahina waka, right?
Yeah, okay.
Times 6. Okay, that is 96. So I still have more to do, right? So me feel there I need more on the public subnet. Then I can come and use this tool and then customize it. But if I'm okay with this, I can just go ahead and then just create. And it will create almost all the components for me. Even there, I had the NAT gateways. If I choose one, then it will create the NAT gateway for me. So you do like a little, but unless you want to go ahead and then do like further customizations. So when I'm teaching, I actually let us go the manual way. You create VPC in the first, the network address first. Then we'll go later, we will create the subnet, we'll come and attach the gateways, do the NAT gateways, everything, so that we all get to appreciate how the whole thing works. And then later on, if you want to just use the wizard and put it on you can just go ahead and then use it.
That's why they made me do the VPC more, but I think down there, no, I didn't really, and they show something like this, the one on the right.
Yes, so for VPC and more on the when you select it, it will create everything for you at once. Or not gateway or route table. We create route tables, because I choose public and then private, Yes, so this is a resource map. So the public will be what? Will be attached to what? An internet gateway. The link is what? To the public subnets.
Okay.
And then it's attached to what? An internet gateway. So the short form for internet gateway is IGW, right? And then and then there is
from what I'm seeing, I just want to bring some of the things you said earlier.
Yeah, sure.
From what I'm seeing, the subnets, I'm guessing the last number 1B is the private one, or
all of them. So this one is what? Private 2, private 4, private 1, private 3. So private 1, private 2, private 3, private 4. Okay. I chose 2 availability zones. I explained availability zone the other time, right? And it has distributed a subnet according to the availability zones. So one public, because I'm using only 2 public subnets, into the Akoto availability zone 1A, and then one is at what? Availability zone 1B.
Okay.
And then the private subnet also or 4. So also 2 ATO 1A. Yes, also 2 ATO 1B. I mean 1B.
Is the private one? I don't understand that the private one or access the internet now because I can see some connection between the route table and then out to the network connection.
Aha. So the network connections, as I explained, with the NAT gateway, if you just click on
So
the
then NAT gateway.
yes, so as you can see here, so it's project
Okay.
NAT public.
Okay.
Aha.
Okay. 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 So
Doing
it means that the private two, no, if I'm right, I don't know. Private two, no, is accessing the internet using the
NAT gateway.
NAT gateway, no.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to follow the diagram. Okay.
Yeah. All the private subnets. All the private subnets. Private
all of them.
one. Yes, all of them. Private 1, private 2, private 3, private 4. Till there, when I click on the NAT gateway, all the connections to the NAT gateway lights up. On why blue.
On why blue, no.
Ah. And then if I click on the internet gateway, there is just the public subnets.
Okay.
So when you use the VPC and more, all you need to do is just select, and then just click on create. And then all those things will be created for you. So normally I will show them the more. We'll look at the diagram like this, and then we'll now create everything ourselves manually. And we'll compare it with the diagram to see that if it's the same thing that we did. So it helps you like appreciate the whole thing better. All right. Then later you can now decide that, okay, I want to do it manually, or I want to just let the wizard do everything for me.
Yeah, I think it's doing it both is nice. You get to see how it's done.
Yeah.
You get to see how it's done. But this is good that we had this class because some of the things they had no idea what they were doing.
Yes, that's the thing about the videos. Like, I mean, these online things. I keep telling people that yes, you will learn, you will read them, but you also need like a second voice to get to explain some of the things to you.
Yes,
Because
and then we educate sometimes what kind of baby and I'm like, like seriously.
it doesn't
And it's not like English straightforward stuff. Words that I don't even know what they're trying to say. Yeah. So
it doesn't actually sound beginner friendly. That is the whole thing that I keep telling people, that the foundational courses there, if you don't have any knowledge about IT, it will still be difficult for you to understand them, even though they are foundational. Because they speak to you as though somebody who is coming. So with the networking like this, they will explain it as though somebody who is coming from like a networking background already. As you said, you mentioned the NAT gateway, the internet gateways, and everything. So, and they will use the technical terms. So if you don't break it down into like a normal English, still where the person will not understand.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know if you had, but before that, but not for this one. There's something I would like to show you.
okay, sure.
No, it's not related. Is it related? It's not really related. I'll show you a screenshot. I wanted to send it yesterday. I got stuck with it. Yeah, and I may pull it up. And I'm that show.
Oh, okay. Then I
Okay.
think you can share it with me, or just send it to me on. Yeah.
It's the cloud question.
Uh-huh.
They said I should. We are doing VPC. Is it pairing or I didn't get the word right.
Yeah, VPC peering.
Good. And then they were connecting three departments: finance, marketing, and another one.
Okay.
But as part of that, they with one of the EC2 instance, they connected it to a system. But let me see if I can share. How do you even share this from here? All
So
right.
let me stop mine. Yeah.
Okay. Where is this? Okay. I don't know if you see.
Yeah, I see. I can see your screen.
And the man put my child and I can't even see it. Please, can you describe what you see?
No, I only see your screen showing number 3. Press.
That thing, press that number 3. There's something before the C.
No, the control key on your keyboard. On the keyboard, no, some key or a CTRL.
Control.
Then you press C. You press them.
But that's one thing or no, is that what it means?
Is it?
And
Yes.
that.
Yeah, them angular arrow no or no.
That's
Yeah,
the meaning.
that's the meaning. Yes.
Yes. Yesterday I tried that. Looks like a inverted, like a triangle. I tried all of
Yes.
them. I tried the star. I
No.
tried a number of things. It didn't work.
You have to press or your control key, So just press that and press C. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me
Not
just.
that I understand everything I'm doing in the quest though, but at least I'm appreciating.
Yeah. Maybe I should. My easy. I don't know if I'll be able to.
Why anyway?
Yeah.
Why am I even asking you?
I could have. Maybe we could. Maybe one of the sessions we just go into Cloud Quest and then solve these real life scenario things. I think it will help us also understand it better. So maybe I think I should be able to redo it or something. So yeah,
So you see, meaning okay, they make you connect to the system manager and it brings you back here.
Yes.
I've done it like twice. One was, I think it has to do with the VPC, They wanted to connect one public subnet to a private subnet. Oh, is it IP addresses? They brought me here. They have been there like twice, but to be frank, I have no idea why I'm going there.
Okay. Is it for the system for the systems manager, right?
Yes. The two my quest they bring me back here and I do something there and I go back and then it works, but I don't really know why I have to come there. Like the way they use don't really help.
Yeah. So this is it. SSH, right? We spoke about
we spoke about it.
Yeah. So if you are basically connecting to an EC2 instance, right? Now, when you want to connect to an EC2 instance, you use SSH. Now, SSH, you will have to open a port. That is a technical term. You have to. There is a communication channel that connection needs to go through. Now, the security vulnerability it poses is that if you have an attacker, we call it man in the middle, right, who is sniffing on you or spying on you, they are able to trace the packet that is being communicated between your SSH port, that is port 22, so they can take over the connection. So you can use systems manager. Now the systems manager will allow you to connect to the EC2 instance, but it will not open any port. Port, it has its own way of connecting. I don't know the technology that works behind it, but you trust that it will not open any port. So it's just like you saying, you say, okay, there's this thing that we do. How I want something like I want a real life thing to bicycle, right? So when they are for bicycle, the normal way is you can right? Then before we start pedaling. But the advanced people, or the non basic bicycle. Then he jumps on it. So that is like the whole technology thing. So you would have the systems manager will let you have communication with your instance, connect to your instance without exposing any port or anything. According to the OBC, no, I'm be a lock. Usually, you're tired, man. If you don't want people to see that you are home, maybe you will be inside. Until any time your other person is moving out unless you unlock and wait you.
Unlock which.
So even though you are in there, but it looks like you are not there.
Another.
So that is the technology systems manager uses.
So we use the SSH to connect with the EC2 instance now. Then nobody can actually get access to the EC2 instance now, if my layman's point of view.
No,
Apart
so
from one.
so if you use the SSH in there,
Okay.
people I mean, anybody who is spying your traffic will be able to see that, okay, there is an SSH port that is opened.
Okay.
But when you use the systems manager, that one, it doesn't expose anything.
Okay.
So that is why they let you use what? The systems manager. Because
instead of me using SSH thing on my machine itself. Okay.
So you use a systems manager. And then it's a public, I mean, they are also playing it safe because it's a public game. All right. Somebody will try, if it was like SSH, somebody might try something funny. Yes, they were tired. They will try to take advantage of the game and see that if it exposes anything to AWS, and then they might use it to do.
And they can connect through there and then do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why they let you use the systems manager.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I really like this.
All right.
I believe I can stop share, right?
Yeah. So anything, I mean, it doesn't have to be during our session. If you see anything and then if you don't understand, just send a screenshot. I can send a simple voice note to explain.
Okay. No, I am feeling, yeah.
No. Just send it over. What's up there? I will respond. Apart from maybe I'm a Charlie. But me Charlie, I will respond.
Okay.
I'll respond because I mean that is how you are also going to learn. It's even help because for now, the services like we'll go through some of the AWS. So now we'll do VPC. The next time we are going to do the hands-on, create them one by one, attach our internet gateways and everything. When we are done, we'll do the VPC peering thing.
Okay.
Then we'll come back to EC2, how to create an an extra EBS volume, and then attach it to the EC2 instance. EFS, how to create a network attached volume. We'll do that one, and then what again? Yes. So after that, then that will be pretty it, and then we'll just go through other AWS services that will not do hands-on. Going into the practitioner exams, you don't need the hands-on. A day, like a lot of them. And then that will be pretty much it.
Also, the exams, this is just for about exams. Don't go to like in the question, you see, they give you. The first one was with the S3. They said the people, the citizens there, they look at the wave chart, for them to know the time and wavelength, so that they will know when to go to the beach and all of that. You see, that is more or less like a real life situation. Then you get to appreciate why did you have to do what you have to do. So in the exams, do they give you situations like that?
No. So the exams, you don't even do practicals or a multiple choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So ABC.
I like the one in the educate now, like multiple choice type.
Yes, multiple choice questions. So you just select. So they have multiple choice, multiple answers. So yes, they can give you a real life scenario that's like that. Okay. But but the practitioner, no, they don't go deeper, right? They will tell you, okay, a company would want to host, let's say, a website, but this website have some static files or static objects like images and then videos. What storage option would you recommend? That is S3. But still, people will.
The American have been at least to me,
I mean, it's practitioner is very easy. It's one of the easiest foundational exams that you can find around.
Are you sure that because you have an IT background?
No, this is the same question. So VPC like this, a typical VPC question is going to ask you. So the service in AWS that allows you to create an isolated portion of the AWS cloud is what? That is VPC.
Like that.
Yes.
Just
Or
like that.
even if they want to make it like a business or a real life scenario, they will say, okay, a company uses they have their AWS resources on-prem. They have their resources on-prem, or they have their IT infrastructure on-prem. They would want to move into the cloud. All right. And as a cloud engineer, you have been tasked to create an isolated, so you always have that an isolated portion or an isolated network of the AWS cloud. So they write plenty English, but you find that keyword in there.
But there's something that will connect it to them.
Exactly. So as a cloud engineer, how would you help them create, or maybe they can say, as a cloud engineer, right, helping them move to the cloud, how will you help them create an isolated network environment or isolated portion of the entire AWS cloud? That is VPC.
Okay.
That is, so it's just you finding your, so one question, by the time I will give you resources to like practice exam questions. Yeah. By the time you solve like 3 sets, you get to realize that it's the same questions that's being asked over and over.
I see.
When it comes to identifying the services, it's easy. It is when they are asking questions about the well-architected framework, and yeah, sometimes it's
That's
where,
the next level, right?
yes,
Okay.
but it's easy. Oh, we'll go through after we do the VPC theory anyway. We do the VPC hands-on, and then we go back to the EC2 and then do EBS and EFSR. All right. The rest will just be identifying additional services. The rest will just be about identifying additional services. We'll just go through some exam questions and then you'll get to see that, oh, it's easy. But people still go there and go and fail. No, so the whole thing is people underrate the exams at ASA. And then so they have a way of tricking you. That is one thing. They keep saying that they will not trick you, but I feel like the questions are still tricky in the sense that the questions may seem easy. You would want to rush and choose an answer.
Okay.
That is what actually like cause people. Immediately you see the question, you would want to choose an answer.
So like those situations where when you see a question, like generally even for us, when you see a question, you see a one word, but then you just presume that this is what they are looking for.
Correct.
You start choosing the answer without reading through the whole question. Maybe just
that is what causes a lot. I had say one of our in-house instructors, he wrote the advanced one. We call it the Solutions Architect Associate. No, he went straight to go and write that one. So later, he decided on any learners no call bets. He decided to go and write the practitioner and tell them that practitioner they are struggling with it, Or no wait 1,000 over 1,000. Say they mark it over 1,000, so 100%. And then the pass mark is 700. He got just around 720 something. Yes, because he went there complacency. Because I mean,
solutions architect say with the small word.
So I'll say when the result came, it was just 700 and something. So that is what really like causes a lot of people.
Well, possibly my last question, then I'll let you go. I know I've taken your time, but what are they actually doing in your class, and that makes them? What makes this one different from what they are doing? Just
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So for this, as I said, one, it is AWS sponsored at ASA. So AWS let us add non-AWS related stuff at ASA. So so Linux like this, it is not AWS. The AWS exams is not going to ask you about Linux. Mine, I mean, me cloud, me AWS training, we didn't do Linux. I did it with ALX. I Linux. So AWS has 2 programs, the AWS Academy and then the AWS Restart. So I went through the AWS Academy. No, one year Linux. They will do Python. Python is a programming language, like basic Python. That is the next topic we'll be going to from next week, though.
No.
Oh no, it's not part of AWS, but because they are sponsoring the program, they add it. But all of those ones safe, they will still finish because we rush it. One for 1 week in your Python, but what's the ancient 1 week? Python is a whole course on its own. People go there 1 year, minimum 6 months to learn Python, but we just use 5 days to teach it.
Time what happened?
Nobody, and then the truth is that they will go through it one task. They have to, it is after the boot camp, and then now they will have to take their time. So the people that I just, the first cohort that I did with them, Afina, I've told them to take their time. All right. I've given them resources to go if they really want to do the Python, go through it. One so Linux and so I've given them resources to also learn. Because I'm in Linux, I use a month to learn Linux. On kind of still. I'm still learning. So that is the whole thing. So AWS wants to give them an idea or expose them to some of the tools or some of the things that they would work with in their working environment.
Oh, okay.
So that when they are out of the boot camp, now people who would want to pursue it as like a career itself, now they would want to now take it serious and then do it. But majority of the thing is to prepare them for the foundational exams. So that is the only difference. So Python, Linux, database, and then what? Yes, Python, Linux, database, and then networking. The networking that we did, it was the same thing that I taught them. Very soon, Seth, we ourselves we are going to remove all those ones from the curriculum because it takes majority of the time. Get it? By the time you best started your typical AWS stuff to them and coming only, Now, when exams time happen. So normally what helps them is the questions that we solve, but not the teaching itself. Because the other topics takes majority of the time. But the goal of the thing is also help them go and certify at the foundational exams. So it's very tricky. And we try to find our way around it. Some of the things that we just give them as reading assignments to go and read when they come. So normally we give it to them as presentations so that we can quickly move on to the most important topics.
Okay. So for me, let's say just an advice. I just need to help me with this one. You've been in there, I possibly I want to have a career change or
Yes.
whichever it is,
Yes.
Do you think that it's worth the dedication? Because if I have to dedicate my time to doing, let's say, a different, something different compared to this, which all requires the same, require time and commitment. You being there, having had exposure and knowing what is there, you think that this thing is like worth sticking to?
Yes. So me, I don't know Python. The one I know is what I used to teach. Wasa. Adasa. The Python now, like software developers will use, Me, I don't know. Right? So the knowledge that I have in Python, I'm trying to build a point to that. The knowledge that I have in Python is for me to use to teach. To me, Wasa. I don't use it anywhere. All right. All the private gigs that I do, hey, we are still recording it too. I think I can stop this one. But